Hello, Popcorn Junkies. Welcome to this trailer reaction to the new film from Danny Boyle, the final film in a trilogy, or the first film of a new trilogy. So this is the third film in the 28 days, weeks, years later. But I believe it's the first of 3 more films. Am I right? I think that's right. Danny Boyle, the director. What are your verdicts on Danny Boyle? What do you think of Danny Boyle? Trainspotting, absolutely emblematic, iconic film. Slumdog Millionaire, wasn't a fan. His first film, which I thought was actually quite good, was Shallow Grave, in which Keith Allen played a corpse in the attic. 127 Hours. I think that was the film with James Franco, wasn't it? Who got his arm trapped between 2 rocks whilst mountain biking or something. Other films that he made include things like The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio, which was an adaptation of Alex Garland's book. And with this series, with this apocalyptic trilogy, the writer of all of these films is also Alex Garland himself, who's gone on to direct cracking films like Ex Machina, Men, Annihilation, and recently, this year, Civil War, which was less successful. I have to say, though, whilst Danny Boyle undoubtedly has made some absolute cult classics and iconic films, some of probably the most notable and probably the most box office successful films in British cinematic history. He's never actually, for me, I've never actually fully settled into Danny Boyle. I love him. I see him interviewed. I like him. I like his shtick and all that kind of stuff. But there's something about the way he directs that, for me, it's not about being mainstream, but it's a bit predictable. Even when he's avant-garde, it's a kind of predictable avant-garde. I don't know if anyone else feels that. It's not to say he's obviously very talented, but I don't think he's quite as adventurous, experimental and rule-breaking as we like to think. And I think he kind of struck lucky with his material, his source material, with Trainspotting. But as I say, he made 28 Days Later back in 2002. Cillian Murphy, a bicycle courier who comes round in an apocalyptic future where a terrible virus has turned people into marauding zombies, and he goes off on the prowl. But then, of course, he was executive producer on 28 Weeks Later, which you could argue in 2007 had ever sort of diminishing returns. Until now, we are here with 28 years later. You wonder whether can they carry this on 28 decades later, 28 centuries later? I don't know if they can. So the things about this that make me excited are Alex Garland, though I have to say Civil War, for me, in the final analysis, was a big disappointment. The more recent films by Danny Boyle, such as Yesterday, a profound disappointment. I think that was his last movie 6 years ago. Didn't like it. So this is going to be a big bar to get over. I'm going to have to Frosby flop over a high bar to enjoy this one, because Alex Garland, diminishing returns for me. Danny Boyle, already diminishing returns. For example, Slumdog Millionaire. It didn't really do for me. I know we all got on the very G-ha or whatever it was, and it was just like, fucking hell, no, I couldn't get to too much G-ha or whatever it was. Anyway, let's watch the trailer for 28 Days. Now, one of the most notable things about this film is the fact that, by all accounts, it's been shot on an iPhone 15, or the vast majority of it has. There was also a film recently made, or in recent years made, by Steven Soderbergh, Unsane, which is shot on an iPhone 10. But as I understand it, huge swathes, if not all of this, was shot on iPhone 15s. The film also stars Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Jodie Comer's in there, Ralph Fiennes, Jack O'Connell, and Cillian Murphy, by all accounts, appears not as we quite remember him.
Auntie, what's going on?
Jimmy, sit still, keep quiet, and do not move from the spot.
Seven, 6, 11, 5, 9 and 20 miles today, 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Boot, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Don't look at what's in front of you. Boot, 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 boot. up and down again. Men go mad with watching them. There's no discharge in the war. If your eyes drop, they will get the top of you. Boom, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Try to think of something different. Oh, my God, keep me from going lunatic. Boom, 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 moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. 7, 6, 11, 5, 4, 17, 32 the day before.
Whoa! So at first I was thinking, oh my God, this is like Shaun of the Dead, especially as they were placing the toddlers back in the room with the, with the Teletubbies. I think was that a flashback to one of the early films? What was more scary, a bunch of zombies or the Teletubbies? I know who I'd rather take my chances with. And then we moved into that wonderful sort of ticking clock, sermon-like, sort of almost like the shipping news voice. It's so long ago that I saw the other films. Is that a sort of riff on something that was there in the previous films? The ticking clock, the sense of time. And then I started to think, this is looking a bit cliched. And then at the point that Aaron Taylor-Johnson was walking around with a kind of longbow and quiver with arrows, I was thinking, isn't this just going to be Walking Dead-esque? But then, especially with the kind of great big gates that shut within the sort of guarded territory. But then something happened in that trailer where it literally became incredibly gritty. When they went into that derelict house, saw the hanging upside down body, the child is looking fearful, and then it slashes out. And then we've got the ticking clock of I have to say the audio edit on that trailer was brilliant. Aaron Taylor-Johnson looking the part there. Very, very Civil War-esque moment with the kind of special ops operatives with the torches on their heads, and then some creature kind of goes for them. But then, of course, the tower. What about it? Let's pause for a moment and talk about the Tower of Skulls and a blood-soaked Ralph Fiennes. I've just seen him as a wannabe pope in Conclave, but here he is looking like he's walked straight out of Coriolanus, looking brutal, bald and bonkers. And then really the trailer just got better and better. And then was that Cillian Murphy being propped up? I mean, the director, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland talk about the fact that they were very much inspired by the George A. Romero zombie movies, but also the Day of the Triffids movies. I think the danger with any of these kind of post-apocalyptic kind of films is that they don't just become a kind of jamboree a la Walking Dead, wandering around, avoiding zombies, joining sort of communities and all that kind of stuff. And there is a bit of that going on there too. But I think Cillian Murphy is basically a zombie scarecrow. That's what he looks like. But I have to say, I'm not a big Danny Boyle fan. That got me excited. I wasn't particularly feeling the iPhone 10, 15 camera footage, but does that matter?